So I am optimistically hoping that there are going to be travel possibilities coming up over the next 6 to 9 months. I do, in theory, have a wedding in Europe I'm supposed to go to in September. So I sent in my passport for renewal on January 5th this year, and I sent it by regular postal mail. And it wasn't even received by the Passport Processing Center for nearly 3 weeks until the last week of January. And the Postal Service has never been more kneecapped than it is right now. And a big part of the reason is Donald Trump's choice for Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, who has been wreaking havoc at the post office for the better part of a year or longer at this point in time. Louis DeJoy insisted at a hearing yesterday that we'd better get damn used to him because he plans to stay in his position a long time. Take a look.
You're a political appointee, a holdover. No one knows how much longer your board.
That's incorrect. I'm not a political appointee. I was selected by a bipartisan board of governors, and I would really appreciate if you would get that straight.
Well, how much longer are you planning to stay?
A long time. Get used to me.
Well, Joe Biden has a clear plan to removing Louis DeJoy, which would be really great for the country and anyone who either sends or receives mail, which is most people. For everyone wondering why Louis DeJoy is still on the job and why Joe Biden hasn't simply removed him and replaced him with someone else, it's because the Postal Service Board of Governors chooses the Postmaster General. It's not as simple as Joe Biden can just replace Louis DeJoy. So what Joe Biden and Congress are going to need to do is to fix the Postal Board of Governors before they can have him removed. The only other way I can think of removing the Postmaster General would be for Joe Biden to make it a cabinet level position so he can just pick a new Postmaster General. That seems like it would be relatively difficult to do. So what Joe Biden is planning to do is he is going to nominate 3 additional members to the U.S. Postal Service Board of Governors. If Joe Biden's nominees are confirmed by the Senate, this would then give Democrats and Democratic appointees the majority of that Postal Service Board of Governors. It's almost like he is packing the court, except it's packing the Postal Service Board of Governors. Having that majority, the Postal Service could then vote to remove Louis DeJoy from the position of Postmaster General. The 3 nominees for Joe Biden are reportedly going to be Ron Stroman, who's a former deputy Postmaster General, Amber McReynolds, the CEO of Vote at Home, which promotes voting by mail, and Anton Hajar, who's the former general counsel for the American Postal Workers Union. So the plan is very clear. Nominate these 3 folks. They get approved by the majority Democratic Senate. You get a majority on the Postal Board of Governors, and then you get rid of Louis DeJoy. Now, whether it will happen that smoothly remains to be seen, but this is an emergency. As a reminder, the Postal Service has been a target of the American right wing for a long time. Remember that the way this fits in is that the right wants the government doing nothing. And as an independent agency under the executive branch of the government, the right really wants to get rid of the Postal Service. One thing they've done is require that the Postal Service pre-fund pensions of workers decades in advance, which on paper makes the financial situation of the Postal Service look much worse than it actually is. No for-profit industry has to pre-fund pensions that far in advance. It was a calculated measure by the right to argue that the Postal Service is financially insolvent. Another way to hurt the post office is to make it work so poorly that people stop using it, which then makes it even less viable. And Louis DeJoy has done many things to make the Postal Service work less efficiently, including eliminating overtime pay for mail carriers so that undelivered mail at the end of the normal workday, instead of getting delivered, simply goes back to the post office and gets delayed. Sometimes for one day, sometimes for many, many days. And as we've seen under Louis DeJoy, on-time mail delivery has declined from 96% to 80%. Some parts of the country, like Detroit, even lower, 74% on-time mail delivery. And this is sadly a key part of the Republican playbook. Rail against a government department or a government entity or a government, an organization overseen by the government, then they get themselves put in charge of running it. They make it run even worse. And then they say, look, we told you guys this is terrible. Well, yeah, you're making it terrible. And then somehow they'll blame Democrats. And then when Democrats come in and put together a plan to fix what Republicans ruined, Republicans say, wait, who can afford that? That's really expensive. This thing is functioning so terribly. We would need so much money to fix it. We can't afford that. Well, why is it running so terribly? It's running so terribly because you destroyed it. So it's a very common Republican playbook. And it is one that unfortunately has worked well in many areas. So we see the path. 3 new Postal Board of Governors members, Postal Service Board of Governor members, get them confirmed by the democratically controlled Senate. Vote to remove Louis DeJoy. Put someone in that position who actually wants to improve the functioning of the Postal Service rather than worsen it, which is exactly what Louis DeJoy wanted to do. And it's exactly what he has done. One of our sponsors is Vincero Watches, giving you 15% off. A high quality wristwatch is the perfect way to elevate your style. Own at least one watch that makes you feel great when you put it on. You can often see me wearing my Vincero watch on the show. Mine is the gunmetal vessel model. I'm a big fan of the metallic look of the face of the watch. I like the silicone strap. You won't find a better made watch for this good a price anywhere else. When you put it on, you know you got more than you paid for. Vincero believes in crafting super quality watches from high-end materials, but selling them at fair prices, which is why they have over 26,000 5-star reviews. And they stand behind every watch they make with a 1-year return policy and 5-year warranty. They'll give you 15% off everything in their store and free shipping at davidpakman.com/watch. Use the coupon code PAKMAN.